last video, I demonstrated how Dodo can help us develop and deploy our applications in production. We saw that by making changes in the app.json configuration file, Dodo can provision different kinds of services for our application to use, such as PostgreSQL, MongoDB, raw disks, or others. While this improves process in a number of ways, I think developer experience can be improved much more significantly. For example, while schema of the app.json file is easy to understand and learn, still it introduces unnecessary barrier to entry, as one has to spend some time to read the documentation before actually trying out Dodo for the first time. Also, depending on the application, configuration file can be quite big, which makes it hard to visualize all the infrastructure pieces just by going over the configuration. So today I want to show you one of the new features I have added to Dodo since the last video. It is a canvas which lets you visually build the application infrastructure. You can think of it as a Photoshop or Figma for developing applications, and everything we draw on this canvas will be picked up and provisioned by Dodo. Let's see how all of that works. In the center we have the canvas itself. On the left hand side there is a list of resources we can drop on the canvas. Right hand side will let us edit the details of the used resources, and the bottom part gives us suggestions and errors regarding the current state of the canvas. Let's use Canvas to deploy the blog engine we developed in the last video. First, let's create the new project and let's call it blog. If we look at the messages section, it suggests us to import our application repository. Let's drop the GitHub node on the canvas and copy our repository address from GitHub. Next suggestion we get is to define the service out of this repository. Let's drop the service node and connect it to the GitHub node. We can give this node the name and choose the runtime and list all the ports it is listening on. Since we listed the new port on the service, next suggestion we get is to maybe we want to expose it to the public with a HTTPS gateway. Let's do that and drop the HTTPS node on the canvas. Let's pick the network, choose the subdomain and point it to our application and web port. And we will also need the PostgreSQL instance to store our blog entries. Let's give it a name and connect it to the application node. As we can see, the connection URL of the PostgreSQL instance is passed as an environment variable to the service. If we go to the config tab, we can see the Dodo configuration this visual drawing actually translates to. And if we click the deploy, this configuration will be sent to the Dodo backend, which will actually provision all the necessary infrastructure resources for us. It should be picked up by any second. There we go. And if we look at the logs, we can see it just git cloned our repository and is now installing all the npm dependencies and building our Next.js application. And now it's up and running. And if we go to the deployment tab, we can see all the exposed endpoints and we can check our log on website. I think this approach makes it much easier to build applications. In the last video, I mentioned that to use Dodo, you do not have to install any Dodo specific tools on your development workstation. Canvas takes that even further and lets you build infrastructure without learning anything new, not even the schema of the configuration file. There are lots of ways how Canvas can make our everyday lives much easier. We can easily imagine how monitoring, for example, can be integrated into this UI. HTTPS endpoints could show the traffic coming in from the users, and the connections between the nodes could show the latencies or the error rates of the communication. We could even transform Canvas into the very powerful log viewing UI. For example, each node on the drawing could show its own logs, and scrolling in one could in real time update the others so that at any point in time you could see what each application is doing. That's all I wanted to show you today. I hope you liked it and thank you for watching. See you soon.